Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm, and as always, it's a pleasure to be in your company this afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in and making GPS a part of your routine. So, before we dive into this Wellness Wednesday show, I want to throw out the telephone contacts as to how you can chime in if you have any questions or comments. The telephone numbers to call are 326-0271, 326-0271, 326-0272, 326-0272. The WhatsApp line for messages or calls is 801-0271, 801-0271. We're streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages, as well as our official YouTube channels. You can also catch us on Cable Bahamas, channel 974. That's channel 974 on Cable Bahamas. And you can also catch us on radio, Global 99.5 FM, here in New Providence, and also tune in from Grand Bahama. So however you get here, we appreciate you being a part of the show and want to say thank you so much for tuning in. So every Wednesday around these parts, we do what is called a Wellness Wednesday show, where we take a look at a matter that is of importance to your health. And today, we're going to be focusing on brain health. Did you know that the nutrients that you are or are not taking into your body actually have an impact on your IQ level? Did you know that? Did you know that the nutrients that you are or are not taking in could have a significant impact on your ability to reason, your ability to remember things? It's just amazing, and you're going to get a lot of information during this show today that's going to simply amaze you, because very few people correlate what you're taking into your body with what is happening in your brain. And I dare say, I'm going to throw it out at the very beginning of the show, that I believe that many of the social ills that we are seeing in our country, like some of these young people don't seem to have the ability to reason. Have we ever stopped to think that there could be a nutritional component there? I'm not saying that's the only thing, because clearly we have a lot of social ills in this country. But has anybody stopped to wonder whether or not there is a nutritional component involved in these behaviors? Because as we're going to learn during the show today, there is a direct correlation between nutritional deficiencies and brain health. I tell you, I have to tell you, preparing for the show, I was like, whoa, I learned so much in terms of how our brains are being impacted, whether positively or negatively. Bottom line is nutritional deficiencies can lead to problems with your brain. The good news is that in spite of what we were told in the past, your brain does have the ability to regenerate. So, back in the day, they used to say the brain is the one organ of the body that cannot, once it's damaged, and there's nothing you can do. Well, they used to think that white bread was good too. We now know it's not. So in the same way that they were wrong about that, they were wrong about your brain's ability to regenerate itself. And now, more and more, research is showing just how wrong they were. So as I often say in these shows, believe the diagnosis, but don't believe the prognosis. You're going to learn during the show that there are a lot of things that you can do, even if you have started to have challenges with brain health. You're going to be amazed. So that's what we're going to be talking about on the show today. So the first thing we want to touch on, and all of the clips that you're going to be hearing today are from Dr. Eric Berg. The first thing we're going to touch on, the first part of the show, is we're going to deal with the deficiencies that can seriously impact your brain's ability to function. Okay? And in this first clip, he is going to talk about a particular nutrient when, if not received in adequate amounts, will literally lower your IQ. Now, for those of you, especially who have children in school, pay attention. Because if your child is struggling in school, it could be a nutritional problem. It could be. And you put all this pressure on this poor child, and truth be told, the child just needs more nutrients to give them a healthier brain so that they could focus more. So listen to this clip. This clip is talking about iodine. Now, we've been hearing a lot about iodine on this show for different reasons. Iodine as it relates to your thyroid and all these different things that iodine does. But did you know that if you are not getting sufficient iodine into your diet, it could actually lower your IQ? Check this out.
There are at least 4 mineral deficiencies that can significantly affect your IQ. That's the topic for today. Generally speaking, it's your intelligence, it's your ability to solve problems, it's your ability to learn and understand certain things. There's a memory or recall component to it. And some people say, well, you know what? Your intelligence is really finite, and either you're born with it or you're not. That's absolutely not true, okay? You can have training, you can do self-improvement, you can do a lot of things. And even what your mother ate while she was pregnant has a factor on your intelligence and your future ability to solve problems, as you're going to find out. But there are other factors too, like with learning. It could be that you were in school and no one ever taught you how to study or learn. And I'm being very sarcastic because they don't teach kids how to study or learn. You're just expected to know that. So you go in there and you sort of memorize, you reread, you rewrite things over and over, and hopefully somehow you pass the test and you get through it. But today I want to really focus in on the nutrient part of your intelligence. So probably one of the most influential trace minerals, which you don't need a lot of it, but you need a little bit of it. And if you don't have that little bit, you're going to be in big trouble, because if you're deficient in iodine as a child, your IQ can go down significantly, like 13 points, okay? Now, even if you're deficient in iodine as an adult, there are certain studies that show that it can decrease by 15 points, and that's pretty significant. But the crucial time to get iodine is when the woman is pregnant with that baby, as well as when they're breastfeeding. Vitally important. And so iodine is involved in the creation of your brain and of certain parts of the brain, like the hippocampus, which is involved with learning, memory, being able to navigate yourself through different things. So primarily we have the hippocampus and then the frontal lobe involved in problem solving. But of course, how much of these parts of the brain are involved with problem solving in IQ? I mean, it's pretty remarkable. Some people have had huge amounts of trauma and damage to their brains. I mean, destruction of a good portion of the brain, and they still seem to maintain their cognitive function and their IQ. So I just wanted to point that out, because we really don't know how much brain we really need. Apparently we have a lot of extra.
Well, here's the thing what you need to understand. Like he just mentioned, somebody may have some kind of trauma to the brain. But God is so infinitely wise in terms of how he created our bodies, that your brain, in some cases, has the ability to rewire itself. So if a particular area for a particular function has been damaged, your brain has the ability to rewire itself so another part of the brain can take over the responsibility of the part that was damaged. It's remarkable. But the only way that that can happen is if you have a healthy brain, if you're feeding your brain what it needs to be performing at optimum level. So we get back to this whole question of nutrients. If you are not feeding your body, which includes the brain, the right nutrients, that makes it all the much harder for your brain to recover from any type of trauma or damage that's been done to it. But we know that the brain does have the ability to regenerate. Okay? So, my goal here today is to give you information that, well, especially if you or someone you know or someone you love is starting to have challenges with their brain or is already, deep into challenges with their brain, don't lose hope to say, oh, wow, I guess this is it. There's nothing we can do. That's not true. Don't believe that for a split second. There is something you can do. And hopefully by the end of the show, you will be empowered to know exactly what it is that you can do. And not just have more information, but actually now be in a position where you can go out and start to act on that information. So let's go back to Dr. Berg, talking about these 4 main minerals that can actually impact your ability to think, your ability to reason, your IQ, your memory, all these different things. And then this next clip, we're going to be hearing more about the role of zinc, copper, and magnesium. So, again, we're going to be bringing a lot of information to you today. And I don't want you to think that you have to write everything down, because you'll be able to obviously go back to YouTube and watch the show later on, because it's going to be a lot of information that I'm sharing with you guys today. But if you know anybody who is challenged with this, or if you have kids in school that, aren't performing as well as they should be, or we all have a brain, so we all should be tuned into this. Make sure you like and share the show. Let everybody know it's on the air. Okay, so let's learn more about the role of zinc, copper, and magnesium when it comes to your brain.
Now, the second mineral that is the most important is zinc. Zinc is involved in hundreds of different enzyme reactions. Okay, it's definitely involved with the hippocampus. It's involved with making neurotransmitters. And if you're low on zinc, your IQ is going down. But this zinc correlates with copper. They both work together. So you need this zinc to copper ratio. And when you have children that have autism, for example, there's nearly always extremely low zinc and copper levels. But there's a huge correlation between high IQ and good zinc to copper ratios. Copper is also very low in Alzheimer's patients. Also, it's super concentrated in a structure in your brainstem called the locus coeruleus, which has everything to do with your sleeping. And then we have magnesium. Magnesium is needed for making ATP. It's needed for energy in the brain. And if you don't have enough magnesium, there is a huge correlation between a lower IQ. And so if we look at this right here, we have, seafood, shellfish, okay? And magnesium, salad, vegetables, leafy greens, but you can also get it in nuts and other foods as well. But seafood, shellfish, very important to get the top three. I wanted to add a few more. Vitamin D deficiency is also correlated with learning disabilities, lower IQ, and cognitive function. So here's another one that's very, very important, especially if you are pregnant. Now, iron also correlates with a lower IQ, probably because it's involved with anemia and red blood cells and carrying oxygen to your brain.
Okay, so keep in mind, as I often tell you guys on this show, that nutrient deficiencies is only one portion of what it's going to take to get your brain to heal. We will obviously be spending some time talking about your diet as well, because as I often say, no amount of nutrition can outdo a poor diet. So very often when we find people who are having challenges with their brain, a major portion of that is because they have been eating so poorly that their diet has contributed to conditions that challenge the brain. What do I mean by that? Okay, for example, there are, I think, 4 or 5 different types of dementia. One of them is called vascular dementia. Vascular dementia happens, and vascular dementia, they say, aside from Alzheimer's, vascular dementia is the most prevalent dementia, type of dementia. And you're going to hear about other types later on in the show. But vascular dementia happens when the arteries that take blood to the brain are clogged up. And so the brain isn't getting sufficient oxygen, and the brain starts to die. The problem is not that something is wrong with your brain. The problem is your brain is being starved of something that it vitally needs. Why is it being starved? Because your arteries are clogged up. So how did your arteries get clogged up? Well, a major part of it is diet. We have been eating so poorly over the years as a people that we have been actively participating in harming our bodies. And clogged arteries is one of the main symptoms that we're seeing as a result of our poor diet and our poor habits. So some people get vascular dementia. Some people have a stroke. Some people have heart attacks. Some people's kidneys stop functioning because the kidneys can't get the dirty blood because the everything is clogged up to this. All of it because we don't want to put down fried foods, because we don't want to stop eating inflammatory foods that are damaging our system to the degree that we start to see clogging based on scar tissue cholesterol showing up on the scene, trying to heal the scar tissue, which is, why doctors try to blame cholesterol when cholesterol is only shown up on the site to try to help to rebuild. And let me just stick a pin in that right there for a second. I have to talk about cholesterol because cholesterol has been so demonized to the degree where if you go into the doctor's office and they say you have high cholesterol, they will actually want to prescribe a cholesterol-lowering drug, a statin drug, to lower the cholesterol. Now, here's what they don't tell you. Your brain, by weight, all of the white matter of your brain, the myelin of the brain, that's what the white matter of the brain is called. The white matter, which is responsible for protecting and coding the electrical system of the neurological system. So all of the electrical messaging that your body receives from the brain, that is all coded and protected by myelin. Well, guess what, y'all? Myelin is 90% cholesterol. So when you take this cholesterol-lowering drug, then it does its job. It lowers cholesterol everywhere in the body, including your brain, which is mostly cholesterol. So the next thing we know, you are now to the place where you can't remember your name. You're forgetting any and everything because you've been taking this drug that's been lowering cholesterol, including the cholesterol in your brain, which is mostly cholesterol. So oftentimes I come across people who are having challenges with memory, etc. And one of the first things I ask them is, are you on any kind of statin drug? Are you on any kind of cholesterol-lowering drug? And very often the answer is yes. And I'm like, bingo. So nutrition plays a huge role, yes. But no amount of nutrition can outdo a poor diet. And if you are not willing to fix the diet, clean up the diet, stop eating the garbage, give your body a chance to heal itself, nobody can help you. You saw the clip talking about magnesium. How do you get magnesium? You eat more leafy greens. How many Bahamians do you know eat leafy greens on a regular basis? Look at the typical Bahamian diet. You offer to put salad on their plate and they look at you like you just cursed them. What? I don't eat rabbit food? And yet at the end of the day, we don't know why. We shocked when all these medical challenges come upon us, including challenges with your brain. So pay attention, people, because you're going to learn a lot more in this show about what you can do and what you need to stop doing to ensure that you have the best health of your brain. We'll be back after these words from our sponsor. Stay with us. This is GPS.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rims fix and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
And we are back. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company on this Wellness Wednesday. We are streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM Facebook pages. Also can check us out on our YouTube channels. And we're also coming to you on Cable Bahamas, channel 974. The numbers to call, 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. The WhatsApp line for text messages or calls is 801-0271, 801-0271. And of course, you can catch us on radio, Global 99.5 FM, both here in New Providence. You can also tune in all the way over there in Grand Bahama. A special welcome to our Grand Bahama audience. Okay, so on this Wellness Wednesday, we're talking about brain health and how nutritional deficiencies can actually contribute to a lower IQ and, your brain's ability to function. And I want you to like and share the show if you haven't already done so, especially if you know anybody who's going through any kind of challenge with their brain health. I think the information you're going to receive on the show today is going to be very beneficial to you. Okay. Have you ever noticed how when you give your kid a lollipop, within minutes of them sucking on that lollipop or drinking that sweet soda, all of a sudden it's like they lose their mind and they become like crazy, ADD. I mean, just running all over the place, jumping off the walls. There's a reason for that. That is because that sugar that you just introduced into your child's system is reacting with their brain in much the same way that cocaine would. So they get all crazy. You often hear people say, "Oh Lord, that's that sugar." Yeah, it is. Because as Dr. Berg is going to explain to you the science behind it, sugar makes you stupid. His words, not mine. Check out this clip that's going to tell you more about the impact of sugar on the brain.
Sugar actually makes you stupid. It definitely correlates with a lower IQ. Now, that being said, I do want to make a very important point. Just because someone has a high IQ, just because someone is so-called intelligent, doesn't mean that they are sane, okay? They could be very intelligent, but be completely insane. And when I talk about insane, I'm talking about destructive, right? But when we're talking about sugar, we're talking about blood sugar, we're talking about even diabetes. So if your A1C is like above 7, your recall goes down, okay? Your ability to recall memories is significantly affected. Diabetics, on average, have a lower IQ by 7.84 points. When someone is a diabetic and they have higher sugar in their blood, that shrinks the hippocampus. So we have less hippocampus to work with, which means less capacity for memory, less capacity for learning, and that is intimately connected with IQ. Now, if we take a look at the brain that has insulin resistance, okay, it's brain insulin resistance, which is always the case for someone that has high sugar, like a diabetic. There is a lot of destruction going on in the neurons, okay? And so when you feed the brain cells, the neurons, too much sugar, you end up destroying those synapses. And thank goodness there's an alternative fuel to bypass that whole thing and get the energy that the neurons need so you can have more intelligence. And that alternative fuel is ketones. Now, what's interesting about ketones is that your brain is the organ that does not have to adapt to ketones like other parts of the body. In other words, there's not a period of 3 days where you have to adapt or convert over to ketones. It can use ketones immediately if it's in the blood. There's not a lot of, if any, stored sugar in the brain. The brain does not store glycogen. Why? Because there's no space. Because when you're storing glycogen, you have to store a lot of water, and there's just no space. So the brain is dependent for its energy from the blood, okay? And then that usually comes from your liver primarily. So if your liver's damaged, that can affect the brain. But if the brain has a choice between ketones or glucose, it will always pick ketones as a primary fuel. And that way, even if there's damage to the brain cells can get energy. So in other words, your brain is very vulnerable to what diet you are on. And really what determines if there's ketones in your blood or not is really two things: glucose and your insulin levels. So when a person starts to go on the ketogenic diet and they start lowering their glucose, they notice also their insulin levels lower. They may still have problems and they may not notice the significant benefits of ketosis for quite some time, primarily because there's this background basic level of insulin in their blood at all times. And if someone is obese, they usually have like 3 times the insulin levels. And this really has nothing to do with their diet. It's just that their baseline insulin is just a lot higher than someone that doesn't have a weight problem. So if you are watching and you're overweight, just realize the more you lose weight, the more the insulin levels decrease, the more the benefits, and it could take some time. So what are the takeaways from this video? Shellfish, seafood, big salads, and cut the sugar out and go on a low carb diet.
Okay, we're going to learn in a minute more about this low carb diet, because in case you didn't know, whenever you consume carbs, they turn into sugar in your body. So this is why you have to be very, very careful with the amount of carbs. So more on that in a moment. But back to the children. How many of us, because of convenience and speed, are feeding our kids cereal for breakfast? Most of the cereals on the market today are loaded with sugar. So you're loading up your child with sugar, right? You're giving them these sweet cereals that are loaded with carbs and loaded with sugar for breakfast. So you're already putting your child at a disadvantage because we just heard sugar makes you stupid. And your child is bouncing off the walls. Your teacher has problems keeping the child focused. The child is disruptive. And you punishing the child for behaving badly when, in essence, you contributing to that behavior by feeding them sugar. The average amount of sugar that a person needs on a daily basis, an adult, is, I think, 1 to 2 teaspoons or tablespoons, one of the two. The average amount that most of us take in every day is 34 tablespoons of sugar. So we are getting way too much sugar in our diets, whether that be from drinks we're drinking, the juices that we're drinking that are nothing more than sugar and water, the sugary cereals that we're feeding our kids, the lollipop that we give our child to keep them quiet, the ice cream, whatever it is that's loaded with sugar, you are contributing to your child's inability to focus and function. So before you decide to go discipline that child because the teacher said the child won't pay attention in school, go look in your pantry, go look in your cupboard and see what you feed in that child. I remember in preparation for a show some time ago, I came across a TED Talk. I don't remember the woman's name, but her family was having some major health issues. And one of the problems that she was having is that her young son was uncontrollable behavior. She said he was like a madman. They couldn't control this boy. He was running up and down, being disruptive in school, couldn't pay attention, just crazy. And their diet was primarily one of fast food or processed foods. So in the morning, cereal. Lunch on the way home, some kind of fast food, driving home. The children barely ate real food. Her family, she said, was not eating real food. And she started to feel like a failure as a parent because she didn't know why she couldn't control this boy's behavior. But somehow she came across information and started feeding her family cooked whole foods, and they cut out all those excess sugars and all the other garbage they were feeding that child, and especially those foods like those cereals that have the bright colors. Those bright colors are dyes that also impact the brain's function, especially in young children. She said within a week or two, she got a call from the school. And the administrator said to her, "I don't know what you're doing, but whatever you're doing, keep doing it. This boy is an angel now." Completely changed his behavior. All as a result of her improving that child's diet. I'll give you another example. You often hear me talk about Dr. Joel Wallach. Dr. Wallach is the person whose protocols we follow when it comes to the health coaches that were trained under the Institute of Holistic Health. Dr. Wallach is now 82 years young. And when he was a boy, clearly they didn't have very much information back then as they do now in terms of these various conditions and diseases. So at the age of 4 years old, he started to develop this condition where he was having these weird outbursts. He would be grunting like a pig uncontrollably. He would have these twitches in his eyes and cramps in his face. And, he just, was getting progressively worse and worse. And they took him from doctor to doctor to doctor to try to figure out what was wrong with this kid. And they couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. So finally they decided, back then with their limited knowledge, that he must have a mental problem. So they were going to actually put this boy away in a mental institution by the time he turned 9. And as he describes it, he knew he wasn't crazy. So he decided, I better take matters into my own hands because these people about to put me away. He goes into the library. The next day, he finds a nurse's handbook and he starts searching. Didn't know what he was searching for, but he just started searching. Came across C, cramps, which he had a major problem with his condition. Read that cramps are caused by a calcium deficiency. Next day, he decides to start eating the animal food, which was calcium enriched, instead of the Cheerios that his mother was feeding him for breakfast. Within 3 days, his condition was gone. Nowadays, we call that condition Tourette's syndrome. They didn't know what it was back then. Calcium. And within 3 days, the boy's behavior was that his problem was gone. And that is what actually started him off on the journey to understand the connection between nutrition and health. So when it comes to your brain health, you would be wise, especially to help your children, who you now disciplining because they ain't paying attention in school, to cut back on the sugar that you are putting in that child's body, which also means lowering the amount of carbs, because as we said before, carbs turn into sugar in the body. Here's more now on that.
A lot of people have actual damage to their brains from a high carb diet, from the chronic exposure to glucose, because what glucose does to your neurons is it destroys your neurons, and then your neurons can no longer absorb glucose, so they can't get fuel. And the fact that the person never goes on a ketogenic diet or doesn't lower their carbs starves them even more, because if you don't lower your carbs, you're dependent on the glucose, which you can't absorb, and so the cells can't get energy or ATP. So it's really the lack of the fuel that the neurons need that destroy the brain. So when you switch over your fuel source, the neuron finally can get fuel, and ketones bypass this damage and feed the neurons directly. Also, the support cells, it's called the glial cells, one specifically being an astrocyte, helps feed the neuron. So if you never do fasting, never do the ketogenic diet, unfortunately, these cells have a very difficult time getting fuel. Thus, all the complications that come with diabetes, to the nervous system, to your brain. You have diabetic-induced dementia. You have diabetic neuropathy. That's damage to the nerve cells, because what happens is all this glucose destroys the capillaries, the blood flow to the nerves. And so the first nerves that show a problem are the nerves on the bottom of your feet. That's why you get peripheral neuropathy, like numbness, burning on your feet, and then your hands. And then it destroys the capillaries to the eyes, which happen to feed the retina, which is a nerve. It's an extension of the brain. Thus the term diabetic retinopathy.
So yeah, even your eyesight can be impacted by the level of sugar in your blood. So if you're having a challenge with anything that you just described, if you're having a challenge with long-term, let's say, fungus in your nails, it could be that you have a blood sugar imbalance that you're not aware of. Some people think that as long as they have not been diagnosed as pre-diabetic or diabetic, that they're good, but that does not mean that you have a balanced blood sugar level. It could very well be that you have an imbalance, and that imbalance is doing ongoing damage to your body, including your brain. So you want to definitely pay attention to that. Stop feeding your children all that sugar. And you decide to discipline that child because they ain't paying no attention in school. Discipline yourself, because chances are you contributing to that child's poor behavior by what you are or are not feeding that child. You don't think about these things, but it's all interconnected. It's all interconnected. So, you heard Dr. Berg mention fasting. Well, we're going to talk about fasting on the other side of the break, because fasting is one of the things that you can do to try to help improve the function or functionality of your brain. And he's going to go into more details on the other side of this break. Stay with us. This is GPS.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
At Lee Air, safety is our #1 priority. Flying since 1996, we offer scheduled flights into Fresh Creek and Mangrove Key Andros and Great Harbor Key, Berry Island, twice daily, 7 days a week. Affordable charter services are also available to anywhere in the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Lee Air Charter Services. Call 225-3267, 702-7127, or 322-1317 for reservations.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Youngevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
For all your building needs, it's Carib Construction and Project Management on Gladstone Road. We build it all: schools, homes, hotels, and more, including structures requiring a Phase 3 electrical contractor. We also provide project management services. The first step towards your dream building begins at Carib Construction and Project Management. Call us at 376-1556 or 341-4466.
One of the things I love about the Mailboat is their relationship with Bahamas Air. I can earn travel points on my international freight and redeem them when I fly.
For me, online shopping is easy with Mailboat's U.S. addresses and regular freight delivery to Nassau. Plus, I can always prepay customs and freight, and they always notify me when my package arrives.
Yeah, a lot of people think the Mailboat is just for shipping, but they also offer a safe and secure storage facility at affordable rates, all in a central, convenient location.
We also offer passenger service into Freeport multiple times per week with a seating capacity of over 450 persons. With family movies on large screens, one hot meal included, and on-board lounge for snacks and soft drinks. We're the Mailboat. We're bridging people, products, and places.
Executive Printers is your one-stop shop for all your branding and customization needs. Letterheads, envelopes, business cards, invoices, share and gift certificates, rubber stamps, vouchers, funeral programs, brochures, flyers, banners, and promotional items like mugs, water bottles, mouse pads, and key rings, all with personable service and great quality. No project is too small or too large. For great turnaround and competitive pricing, make an executive decision. Call us at 393-5011.
It's Global Radio 99.5.
And we are back. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM on this Wellness Wednesday. We're looking at the effects of nutrients on the brain, whether or not nutritional deficiencies are contributing to lower IQ. This could be a thing that we consider here in the Bahamas. If you look at our grades in schools, if you look at the behavior of young people and some not so young, maybe we need to be looking at the nutritional component, people. So here's how you can be a part of this conversation today. Call us at 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. The WhatsApp line for messages or calls is 801-0271. 801-0271. We're streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM Facebook page. Also streaming live on our YouTube channels. And you can check us out on Cape Bahamas channel 974 or via radio here on Global 99.5 FM in New Providence. Also check us out on Grand Bahama. And also download the Global 99.5 FM app for your smartphone, and you'll be able to listen to the shows that way as well. All right, so let's get back to the topic at hand today, talking about brain health and the fact that nutritional deficiencies definitely can impact the health of your brain to the degree where you could have some serious challenges with memory. You could have challenges with IQ being lowered. All manner of things that can be impacted by not getting sufficient nutrients to the brain. Okay? And don't worry, during the show, we are definitely going to talk about what you can do to improve your brain's health, not just looking at the nutritional deficiency side, but what you can actually do, steps you can actually take, foods you can actually eat, etc., to try to rebuild the brain, regenerate the brain if it has started to degenerate in any which way. Okay, so we have to talk about fasting, because fasting has some tremendous benefits for the body as a whole, including the brain. Who knew? But your brain health definitely can be positively impacted if you decide to turn down the plate. And here's Dr. Berg now to give you the science behind that. Okay? So here now is Dr. Eric Berg talking more about the effects of fasting on the brain.
Let's just kind of go through some of the amazing effects of fasting on your brain. Number one, it slows down the age-related brain decline and brain-related diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, things like that. So fasting slows down the aging brain, and it helps to reverse damage to the brain from these other chronic conditions. Fasting also allows the brain cells to finally get the fuel that it needs if you have damage from a high carbohydrate diet. Fasting reduces inflammation within your brain. Fasting stabilizes your neurons, as in doing the ketogenic diet for seizures, which is a neuron that becomes out of control. So this is why ketones can help stabilize the overexcitation of a neuron. Fasting has certain gene benefits by expressing certain genes that help the nerves connect better. Fasting increases genes that increase the repair action of the neuron. Fasting will also greatly boost antioxidants in certain parts of your brain that will help decrease the complications of some chronic inflammation or chronic type of brain problem, whether you have Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, or some type of autoimmune disease of the brain like MS. So if your body makes more antioxidants, it's called endogenous antioxidants, you can then reduce the free radical damage that can occur when you have all this inflammation. Fasting will also give you benefits with something called autophagy. So, for example, if you have plaquing of the brain because you have Alzheimer's, or you have some type of scar tissue in your brain, or some damaged proteins in your brain, when you fast, you go through this autophagy. And autophagy is basically recycling these proteins that are damaged in your brain. So it's making your brain new again. Fasting can also greatly improve structures in the brain, like the structure that controls the circadian rhythms that help you sleep. And fasting also greatly improves your mood. It'll bring you up from either a depressed state or a state of anxiety. So fasting will affect your mood and your cognitive function. And I'm talking about your ability to learn, your ability to focus and be productive, your memory, and that includes also spatial memories. So let's say, for example, you just parked your car and you can't quite remember where you parked it. Well, fasting can help you locate yourself in space. Your GPS, for example, is going to be off. So your internal ability to locate and navigate through things, especially when you're driving, gets lost. So you basically can improve your navigation, as well as your motor skills, your coordination, your balance. So one of the reasons I'm doing this video is to help put you on the right track, to give you the correct information so you can optimize your brain function. Because if you do a search right now for Alzheimer's, okay, what's going to come up on the first page of Google is a diet from Hopkins University, is a diet that WebMD will recommend, which is a diet from the Alzheimer's Association. And these diets are all the same. In fact, the diets are all the same for diabetes, heart disease. It's the same old, same old. And I'm not kidding. I'm gonna list some of the things that they recommend for dementia, for heart disease, for diabetes. And I'm not kidding. At least 3 servings of whole grains every single day. Okay, right there. It's going to create inflammation, and it's also going to increase your blood sugars. You don't want to do grains with these conditions. Number 2, beans more than 3 times a week. Okay, all right, whatever. Beans are high in carbs. That's kind of a minor point. Next one, and this is what Hopkins said. Less than 5 pastries or sweets per week. I mean, you don't want to do any sweets, okay? It's bad advice to even allow people to consume pastries or sweets for dementia or heart disease, whatever. Next one. All right, 1 glass of wine or another alcoholic beverage. Again, why are you even recommending wine or alcohol when someone has this condition? Is there any benefit in pastries or alcohol or whole grains for dementia? And the answer is no.
All right. So before we get into how long you should be fasting, ideally, I want to read a comment coming in on our WhatsApp line. It says, Ms. Malcolm, I must tell you, I am extra enjoying your show on brain nutrition. I am extra loving it. Please, I beg you, give us a few more follow-up shows on brain nutrition. By the way, Lady Malcolm, speaking about nutrition impacting our overall health and well-being, when are you going to give us a bi-monthly show on growing proper foods to eat, herbs, nuts, fruits, vegetables, etc.? Things we can grow in and around your homes, yards, properties, etc., to supplement a healthy diet. I'll look into that. Because I too have been searching for a good system, and I think I came across one just this week, actually, that I intend to order and test out. That will help me to be self-sustaining when it comes to food security. Because if you're not already doing it, you need to start considering this, based on what many say they see coming ahead. Not just for us here in the Bahamas, but around the world. So I definitely will look into that to see what I can do. All right. So fasting is a healthy practice, not just for those of you who are into spirituality, because we know, it's great for spiritual reasons, but it's also very beneficial for your health of your body. Okay, it's back. I saw I was freezing there for a second. Yeah, it's really good and very beneficial for your body, including the brain, as we would have just learned from Dr. Berg. And you really, particularly as an adult, need to consider incorporating fasting into your arsenal of what you can do to improve your brain health. You would be amazed at what a huge difference it can make. Like I said, we are going to get into the show a little later on this about the foods that you can eat that can help to regenerate the brain. We're definitely going to look at that. But before we go there, you may say, okay, so I need to go on a fast. How long should I be fasting? 6 hours, 12 hours, 18 hours, 24 hours, a week? Well, according to this clip by Dr. Berg, even if you aren't able to go 24 hours, a good amount of time, a good length of time for you to get maximum results as it relates to the impact of fasting on the brain is 18 hours of fasting time. That includes the time that you're asleep. One of the reasons why we call the first meal of the day breakfast is because you're breaking a fast, the fast that you would have been on while you were sleeping. So the first meal of the day is your break fast or your break fast. So what Dr. Berg is suggesting in this video is that you delay breaking your fast. He is recommending that when it comes to brain health, a minimum, or at least, a good amount, a good length of time that you should be fasting for brain health is 18 hours within a 24-hour cycle, 18 hours. And in this clip, he's going to tell us a little bit more about how you can do that easily.
It just never ceases to amaze me how much improvement you can create to your brain doing fasting. But there is a sweet spot. You're going to have to fast for at least 18 hours. And so you'll have an eating window of 6 hours and a fasting span of 18 hours to really see some major improvements in your brain. So it's not hard. You just skip breakfast. First meal is at 12. Second meal is at 6. Or it could be first meal 11 in the morning, second meal at 5, or first meal at 1 o'clock, and the second meal at 7. And that means no snacking during your fasting. You can eat during your eating window, but I would recommend just having 2 meals. One at lunch, one at dinner. And if that's a problem, if you're still hungry, definitely add more fat at the end of the meal, whether it's a big handful of nuts, pecans, or macadamia nuts, or some other types of fat. Now, one of the reasons I'm doing this video is simply because there's so much bad information of what to eat when you get off the fast. If you have any problem with your brain, dementia, ADD, seizures, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. So let's just dive right in here. Now you have ketones, right? The benefits of ketones for your brain. And there's other benefits I want to talk about, but ketones in general are very, very therapeutic to your brain. Sometimes you'll hear this argument that the brain only can live on sugar or glucose, and ketosis is dangerous. That is completely, absolutely, positively not true. Your brain prefers ketones. If given the choice between a ketone or a glucose molecule as fuel, the brain will choose the ketones over glucose. There are 3 ways to make ketones. You can make ketones by going on the ketogenic diet, by reducing your carbs and eating more fat. And so some of the fat you'll eat will be turning into ketones if you keep your carbs low. Another way to produce ketones is just fasting. Now you're not going to eat anything. So your body will go after your fat reserve and turn your own fat into ketones. The benefit of doing fasting compared to the ketogenic diet is that you're going to produce a lot more ketones. You'll get deeper into ketosis. And you'll have a lot of other additional benefits that extend beyond ketones. You'll have certain genes that will be expressed just merely from the fact of not eating and creating that mild stress on the body, which then compensates and produces all these magical, wonderful things to your brain. Our bodies, our brains have evolved from not eating, starvation. So we have all sorts of genes that help us survive when we don't have food. I mean, think about way back before we had the all-you-can-eat buffets. I mean, there are days that we didn't eat. And if there wasn't food available, we would die. So what happens is our brain becomes smarter. It becomes more focused. It improves when we don't eat. So then we can find food to eat. And a lot of people will never discover this unless they try fasting. And then they'll find out, wow, I feel so much better. Your mood, your cognitive function improves. And then they're hooked. So our brains are majorly benefited by ketones, by gene expression from doing fasting. And when you exercise, you will generate ketones as well. And another major benefit of fasting is that you are reducing glucose in the diet. And that alone greatly reduces the destruction, the oxidation of what glucose does to your neurons in your brain, into your nerve cells, not to mention a lot of other tissues.
So we're definitely going to hear more about exercise and the impact of it on fat on your brain, as well as a little bit more about fasting within the show. So don't worry, but we are going to give you more information as far as that is concerned. But understand when we talk on the show about ketosis, we're talking about healthy keto, not the unhealthy version, because some people are, some people say, oh, the keto diet is very, very unhealthy. If you do it wrongly, yes, it is. But we're talking about healthy ketosis, where you're actually incorporating nutrients alongside making the changes to your diet, and also coupling the changes with intermittent fasting. Okay? So we're talking the healthy ketosis, not the unhealthy way to do it, but the healthy ketosis. You would have heard Dr. Berg talk about fats, including fats in your meal when you eat, to stop you from having hunger pangs later on. Again, we're talking healthy fats, okay? Healthy fats like nuts. Avocado is a healthy fat if you can eat avocado. Essential fatty acids, which are fish oils, very, very healthy fats. They will help you to, and you're going to hear a little bit more about the omega-3 and its impact a little later on, but they will help to keep you free of any kind of what do you call it when you cravings? Because if you give your body the healthy fat that it needs, then it has no reason to send you out to look for something fatty to fill that void. The brain, you need to understand, is it definitely needs fat, healthy fat. And whenever you go on these low-fat diets or no-fat diets, and then on top of that, you're taking statin drugs, some of you, you are creating a problem. Dr. Wallach always says that Alzheimer's is a physician-caused disease, because over the years we've been told, oh, cut out all the fat, stop eating fat. Oh, you gotta lower this cholesterol. Cholesterol is a demon. Lower it, lower it, lower it. Without thinking of how low fat or no fat and lowering cholesterol impacts the brain. So if you are not getting sufficient healthy fats in your diet, you definitely are harming your brain or not giving your brain what it needs to perform at its best. So you need healthy fats in your diet. Okay? And we're going to learn during this show what that means. I don't want you to go run out and buy the greasiest chicken in the bag you could find. And then say, Michelle Malcolm said I should eat more fat. Yeah, healthy fats. Healthy fats. And just so it's not me that you're hearing it from, you are going to hear from Dr. Berg a little bit more during this show about what healthy fats are and why it's important for you to incorporate more of them into your diet, because your brain can regenerate. And just know this, all of the different diseases of the brain, they all boil down to the same thing, degeneration. They're called different things depending on which part of the brain is degenerating, but it all boils down to the same thing, a degeneration of the brain. So in one area, you call it Parkinson's. In another area, you call it dementia. In another area, you'll call it something else, multiple sclerosis. All of it is just a degeneration of the brain. So once you are taking the adequate nutrients, absorbing them, because absorbability is important. It's not enough to be taking nutrition if your body can't absorb it. As Doc Wallach says, it's not what you eat, it's what you absorb that makes a difference. So many of you might be taking vitamins that you bought over the counter and wondering why you're not getting any better. And then you walk away and you say, vitamins don't work. No. You're taking the wrong vitamins. You're taking vitamins that are probably formulated in such a way that your body can't absorb it. Y'all who are regulars on the show, y'all hear me talk about this all the time. So this is why plant-derived nutrition is important, because your body was not designed to absorb rocks or minerals in their raw state. But if you get those minerals through plant sources or things like fatty fish, like salmon, for instance, then your body knows what to do with that. So your body has the ability to absorb it, because it's not what you eat, it's what you absorb that makes the difference. You got to get those nutrients into the bloodstream. And if you're taking nutrients that have been formulated in a way that your body can't absorb it, you are pretty much wasting time and throwing money down the drain. So that's important to understand. It has to be where your body can actually absorb it. Equally as important is you have to have good, healthy, a good, healthy gut. Microbiome is important because you've got to be able to now absorb those nutrients that you're taking into the bloodstream, and that's where the gut comes in. So if you have a compromised gut, then chances are you're nutrient deficient. If you're nutrient deficient, the nutrition can't get into the bloodstream. If it can't get into the bloodstream, then it can't get to the vital organs. And then on top of that, if you're eating poorly and you're clogging up your arteries, we've got the perfect storm. So when we come back, we're going to hear more about what you can do, some of the things that you can eat, the things that you can do to turn this around, to go from degenerating brain to regenerating brain, and we regain some of the function that we would have lost as a result of a sick brain. We'll be back after this. Stay with us.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. but it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Youngevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Youngevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklite, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here on this Wellness Wednesday. We're talking about the brain today. You want to be a brainiac? You need to pay attention to the show. No, seriously. How do we regenerate that which has been degenerating? Or how do we improve our IQ? Or how do we just have a good, healthy brain? So you would have heard prior to the break Dr. Berg talk about exercise and fasting. Well, he's going to go into a little bit more detail in this particular clip about the benefits of both exercising and fasting if you're looking to regenerate your brain.
You know, it's been thought of that our brains do not regenerate. Our brain cells are not renewed, okay? This is completely false information. Because the brain cell can regenerate. In fact, it's the rate at which your brain cells regenerate that determines how your cognitive function's going to work or not work as you get older. So today we're going to talk about how to actually increase this regeneration of your nerve cells by a factor of 5x. Okay, now, yes, this research was done in animals, and there's also a lot of research done in humans as well. And the general term for a nerve regenerating is called neurogenesis. A lot of this research is done on a part of the brain called the hippocampus. The hippocampus, well, they don't know exactly, but it's involved in the relay of information that's connected to memory, learning, spatial navigation, remember layouts of certain things, problem solving, which you kind of need your memory for problem solving, reasoning, and something else called object in place memory. That's like remembering certain objects in certain environments, like where did I put my keys, etc. Now, realize this. Just because you don't remember where you put your keys does not mean you have a problem with your brain. It could be that you just ate poorly the day before. It could be that your blood sugars are not quite correct. One thing that's really interesting about the brain, okay, is that if we take a look at the size of the brain and how much it weighs, and we compare that to the rest of the body, it only really makes up like 2% of the whole body weight, yet it requires 20% of the oxygen of the body. 20% of the metabolism of the body is given to the brain. So it's an energy hog. And this is why this first thing I'm going to tell you is so important. Out of all the things you can do to increase the size of the brain and prevent atrophy is regular, consistent exercise. And the type of exercise that would be best is aerobic exercise. And what I mean is getting a lot of oxygen. Now, this is not to say that other types of exercise is not also really good, but if you could also include long walks, for example, or some type of exercise where you can get a lot of oxygen, that would be even better than other types of exercise. But I personally like to mix it up. I do high intensity on certain days. I might do hiking or long walks on other days. That is the most important thing you can do to enhance your brain. Regular exercise. On the opposite would be inactivity, right? Not exercising, being inside all day. That would not be good for your brain. The second most important thing for your brain would be fasting. And I'm going to say just like intermittent fasting, but also periodic prolonged fasting. Very potent stimulator of certain factors that help grow your brain and repair the brain function. So you need to be doing 2 meals a day with maybe a fasting period of at least 16 to 17 to 18 hours. Okay. That would be ideal. But if you can do longer, like a 1 meal a day and fast for 23 hours, that would be even better. And this would all depend on your lifestyle and also how much repair that you need to do on the brain, because maybe you have some other issues. But the point is that when you eat too frequently and have these snacks, which is just a killer for a lot of problems, the brain suffers the most. Okay. So this idea that you have to constantly fuel the body or the brain is false information. It does very well when you don't eat so frequently and then periodic prolonged fasts for like maybe 48 hours.
Okay, so I have a comment from Facebook. It says, "Oh my God, Michelle, now I know why my mom was acting a bit absent in her head. She was on cholesterol pills. You never too old to learn. Have I known what I am learning today, I wouldn't have let her take those pills. May her beautiful soul rest in peace." Yeah, child. If I knew then what I know now, my own mother wouldn't have suffered the way she suffered. Okay, so I want to point this out when it comes to exercise, physical exercise he was talking about, but another exercise that you need to consider doing or incorporating into your routine when you're trying to regenerate the brain is to exercise the brain itself. Try to learn something new every day. Get yourself a jigsaw puzzle, read a book, do something to make that brain work. Exercise your brain, not just your body. Put that brain to work. Okay? And that is found to be very, very helpful when it comes to maintaining your brain's health or helping to wake that brain back up. Put some demands on the brain. Get a new hobby, learn something new, download an app where you learn a new language, something, but exercise the brain as well. Okay? Next on the list, something called cold therapy, hot and cold therapy actually, and healthy fats. And we're going to hear more about ketosis. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about confirming what he's about to tell you about cold therapy and hot therapy based on my own experience. But here, once again, is Dr. Berg talking about some of the things that you can do to try to regenerate your dying brain.
The next thing, cold therapy, very potent stimulator of neurogenesis. which is the regrowing of your nerve cells. So that could be an ice bath, that could be in just taking a cold shower. Some of you are not going to do this, but some of you will do it, but it definitely will stimulate the regeneration of brain. Now, if you combine all three of these, you can look way back in time when we were always starving in the cold and we're constantly exercising to run and chase animals to eat them. And so our DNA has been developed off that, has adapted off those three things to survive better because we needed our brains sharp. So if you're out in the cold and you're exercising and you're not eating, you can really support your brain versus always being in a very comfortable environment, being around food all the time, like having a refrigerator, and just sitting back and being inactive. Other things you can do. Omega-3, very, very potent stimulator of growing your brain. That would be like cod liver oil. Why? Because a good portion of the brain is composed of something called DHA, which is a type of omega-3 fatty acid. Okay, so that would help you greatly. And it's very easy to do, to have some fish oils or cod liver oil that you consume on a regular basis. Now, on the flip side of that, the other oil that's really bad for the brain is oxidized oil, like in the oils that are heated, like vegetable oils. To create those oils, you have to heat them up with solvents like hexane, and then you use them in heat too, right? You actually use them to fry something or cook something or deep fry something. Very, very bad for your brain. Of course, recently we've substituted those for the saturated fats, being the coconut oil, the lard, the butter, are actually very, very good to cook things in. They're very stable as long as you keep your carbs low. And so that relates to the next point, a low carb diet, because sugar and refined carbs and just eating a high carb diet creates a lot of oxidation to the brain. And the hallmark of neurodegeneration is glucose hypometabolism, where glucose is not being able to be metabolized in the neurons. Okay, that's the hallmark that occurs within the nerve cells, which means the destruction of the nerve cell occurs because it's not getting glucose fuel. So does that mean you need to eat more glucose? No, it means that you already ate too much glucose and you created insulin resistance. And now you basically create this resistance for glucose as well. And that's what destroys it. You basically starve off the nerve of energy. How can we use that information? We can lower the amount of glucose that you eat, and we can feed your neurons a much better fuel, which is ketones. So ketones are the fuel that can bypass this damage of glucose and go right in and feed the neurons directly. So how do we do that? Well, we just lower our carbs and our bodies will naturally generate ketones. We can also take ketones as a supplement. We can fast and generate ketones, do fasting, intermittent fasting. We can also consume MCT oil because you're going to generate more ketones. Now, I've mentioned cold therapy, but you also can do heat therapy, which like in a sauna or a hot shower, that can also be beneficial, but not as beneficial as the cold therapy.
Okay, so for the record, Dr. Wallach does not recommend the use of oils. Dr. Berg did a pretty good job at explaining the vegetable oils and why they're bad for you. The challenge is the condition or the quality of the oil once it's been exposed to oxygen. It becomes oxidized and therefore causes inflammation in the body. But there have been studies where people have used coconut oil for people in particular who are having challenges with the brain, and I've seen good results as a result of that fat getting to the brain. I have to tell you a little quick story, and then we're going to look at the last two clips. As many of you would know through my experience that I've shared with you on the show, I was exposed to toxic mold that literally nearly took my life. And one of the symptoms as a result of me being exposed to that mold was it damaged my brain. I was having some serious neurological problems to the point where my short-term memory had been pretty much, badly impacted, where I would eat something and 5 minutes later have zero recollection of eating that thing. It was that bad. So it definitely was impacting my brain, that toxin. And when I finally figured out what was going on, I found a place in the United States where I could go to detox. One of the treatments that I had to endure was hot and cold therapy. It was torture. They would put you in a hot tub, let you sit in that hot tub for about 10 minutes, and then immediately put you in a cold tub all the way up to the neck. And when I say cold, I'm talking ice cold. The first time I tried that, I couldn't get past my ankles in the cold water. It was like a shock to the body. By the time I left there 3 weeks later, I was doing 2 minutes in the cold tub. And the thing is, you had to repeat that cycle at least 6 times. And you can do this in your shower, by the way, where you take the water as hot as you can take it without scalding your skin. And the hot portion of the hot and cold therapy should be twice as long as the cold portion. So in other words, if you're doing, say, 6 minutes in the hot tub, the most you should do in the cold tub is 3 minutes. And what it did was it really helped to stimulate your neurological system, and also helped in terms of flushing and getting that blood to flow through the brain. So I found it interesting, through the body, I should say. So I found it interesting when he was talking about the benefits of cold therapy and exercise, because they also had us do this machine-assisted exercise every day. Movement was very, very important in that process to heal our bodies and our brains of the damage that had been done from that particular toxin. So not surprising at all. Now, the next thing you need to consider is deficiency of vitamin B1. There is, when it comes to dementia, one of the dementias is something called Korsakoff's disease, and that is a result of a nutritional deficiency. One vitamin B1. If you don't have sufficient B1 in your diet, you could possibly come down with Korsakoff's disease, which looks a whole lot like Alzheimer's, but it's really not. It's just another form of dementia. So in this clip, Dr. Berg is going to be talking about the vitamin B1 deficiency problem, as well as the importance of probiotics and vitamin D, which you can get through sunshine or sunlight. Here we go.
Another thing that's really beneficial to the brain is vitamin B1, thiamine. And the opposite to that, a thiamine deficiency, which is very common, is the worst thing for the brain. Okay. When someone does not have enough B1, you start developing this condition called Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome. It's a condition where you're very deficient in B1 and the neurons are degenerating. Okay. So you'll have all sorts of problems in the brain. And this usually occurs because you're eating a lot of refined carbohydrates or too much sugar. And so when you don't have enough B1, you actually get inflammation in your brain. And B1 is connected to so many positive things for our bodies, but especially for the brain and also to get rid of stress. All right, the next one is probiotics, which is interesting because there is a connection between your gut and your brain, right? I mean, the microbes in your gut make all sorts of serotonin and other neurotransmitters and other factors. So if there's a problem in your gut, there's a problem up here. In fact, one of the side effects of taking an antibiotic is problems with your brain, mood, cognition, and even potentially certain types of dementia, which is interesting. So if you just support your gut, you actually can help this regeneration of your brain cells. So that would be consuming like foods that have friendly microbes, probiotics, sauerkraut, fermented foods, certain vegetables that are grown on soils that have microbes, and also that fiber in the vegetables can actually feed the microbes. And if you have many different types of vegetables or different types of lettuce leaves, that would be better because it's going to create a more diversified microbiome. But also there's another antibiotic, or at least something that was patented as an antibiotic, and that is glyphosate. That's the chemical in the GMO. So that can actually alter our gut microbiome. Another reason why you should have organic type foods. Now, another thing that can actually support your brain is the sun. You're going to get a type of energy called infrared from the sun. Over 50% of the sun's rays is infrared, and it can penetrate through your skull. Okay. And actually, that can.
Actually, for the record, a part of the treatment protocol when I was trying to detox from all that poison was a far infrared sauna. Because when you get infrared, when you're exposed to infrared heat, it's not like a regular sauna, but it actually pulls stuff out from the cellular level. So it's not just, surface sweating, but it goes deeper and pulls toxins out from the cellular level. So a far infrared sauna, or go stand in the sun. You get it naturally. Could be very, very beneficial to your brain health. All right, so we have one more break to take. Let's do that, and then we're going to look at the final clip where we're going to be talking about what more you can do to give your brain a fighting chance. Stay with us. This is GPS.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Blood sugar levels play a key role in your appetite, weight gain, and overall health. When you have a blood sugar spike, you can feel confused, dizzy, and even have increased cravings. Eating carbohydrates, sugary or fatty foods, and not exercising can all cause blood sugar spikes. But now you have help in managing blood sugar levels. Sweeties by Youngevity was designed to help support healthy blood sugar levels so you can power through your day. It's a synergistic blend of minerals, herbs, and nutrients that have been proven to support healthy blood sugar levels. Sweeties includes chromium, an essential trace mineral that's known for its contribution to healthy blood sugar levels and improved metabolism of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Cinnamon bark has been included for its naturally occurring antioxidants and support of a healthy heart. And we've even added gymnema. It's been used in Ayurveda for centuries to help promote healthy blood sugar. All the ingredients in Sweeties work together to give the best support available for blood sugar control. Sweeties, the blood sugar support supplement from Youngevity that helps control cravings and manage blood sugar levels through your day. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
As you age, factors like health, weight, diet, and lifestyle can all impact your bones, joints, and general mobility. Even everyday exercise can lead to wear and tear on your body. Over time, you might start to experience stiffness or pain due to damaged joints or connective tissue. Ultimate Glucogel by Youngevity was created to help you limit the effects of wear on your joints. It delivers a daily dose of collagen-rich gelatin your body needs for joint elasticity and maintenance. Ultimate Glucogel contains a 1-to-1 ratio of gelatin and glucosamine sulfate, which is a key building block of your bone matrix, cartilage, ligaments, tendons, and connective tissue. Gelatin's unique blend of amino acids not only help with muscle and joint health, but also has been shown to provide additional benefits for the brain, skin, and hair. Ultimate Glucogel. Natural, optimal daily support for joint health. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Welcome back to GPS. On this Wellness Wednesday, we are talking about brain health, how to regenerate a degenerating brain, or just how to boost the one you have to make sure that you are performing at your best when it comes to your brain. Now, plant-derived nutrition is what is best. plant-derived nutrition. Why? Because your body knows what to do with that. Your body can absorb it. Your body knows how to break it down. That also applies to if you are a meat eater, what your meat is eating, what the animals that you're eating have eaten. Because certain animals were designed by God to eat grass. But mankind, in their arrogance, because they believe they know more than God, has started feeding these animals a bunch of grains that they wouldn't normally eat. Well, guess what? When you consume the animal, you have consumed what that animal has consumed. So you want to make sure that in addition to you consuming plant-derived nutrition, organic foods to avoid all of the glyphosate and other chemicals that are causing damage to your body, that the foods that you're eating, the animal foods that you're eating, also would have been grass-fed. What they eat, you eat when you eat them. Here now is more on that.
And then also you have the vitamin D from the sun that can also help the brain, versus being indoors to all sorts of artificial lights that do not help your brain at all. And then there's also plant-based phytonutrients that are really good for your brain. Quercetin, turmeric, the phytonutrients in green tea. I mean, there's just so many different phytonutrients in so many plants that can help you. And then we also get foods high in choline, okay? Choline is kind of the raw material for acetylcholine, a really common neurotransmitter in your brain. You need acetylcholine, and that's made out of choline. So what foods are high in choline? Well, you have egg yolks, okay? You also have organ meats, fish, okay? So all of those are really important for your brain. And then we also have grass-fed animal products, right? Grass-fed versus grain-fed. Grass-fed are more anti-inflammatory because of the omega-6 to 3 ratios. You want those like 1-to-1. So that's just another point that you want to be aware of when you're consuming animal products. There is a big difference. And then we get to sufficient sleep, not just the number of hours of sleep, but the quality of sleep that you get. Okay, it's very, very important. If you have insomnia and you're living on caffeine and stimulants, it's going to start to affect the regeneration of nerve cells. Now, what about this topic of coffee? Well, too much caffeine can definitely create a problem with your brain. But if you have just a small amount of coffee, it's not going to be a problem, especially since there's polyphenols in the coffee that can support the brain. But excessive amounts of caffeine, if you drink too much, can override that and create a lot of problems. Because if you think about it, when you drink coffee, it does stimulate your cognitive function, right? So overstimulation of that can be damaging. Another really key nutrient for the brain, especially the hippocampus, is zinc. Okay, zinc is involved in different enzymes. If you're deficient in zinc, that can create an atrophy of the hippocampus and affect your cognitive function as well as your mood.
Okay, so plant-derived, we know is important. Making sure that the foods you ate in terms of the animals also have been grass-fed is important. But don't overlook that sleep. Because when you sleep, and not just a little nap here and there, but you're talking about that deep sleep, that's when your brain regenerates. That's when your brain cleans up all of the junk. That's when your brain really has an opportunity to fix itself and to get rid of all of the cobwebs and all that kind of stuff. And if you're not getting sufficient sleep, then you're definitely not doing your brain any favors at all. Let's see. We have a comment here on Facebook that says all of these medications that the doctors are giving with these side effects ain't making no sense at all. We need good plant-derived nutrition and eating right. Absolutely. So remember now, you don't want to be guilty of fractionated nutrition. So in other words, you dash out after hearing this show and you go buy all the zinc and all the B1 and all the D off the shelf and all the, what else we talked about, copper and all the magnesium off the shelf. It don't work like that. you need all 90 nutrients that you often hear me talk about, the 60 minerals, the 16 vitamins, the 12 amino acids, the 3 essential fatty acids. This is just to maintain your health, and your brain is included in that. Now, if you are having a serious problem where your brain has degenerated to the point where you are now having challenges with a particular prognosis or diagnosis, I should say, like dementia or Alzheimer's or Parkinson's disease or any other degenerative condition, then you're going to have to go at it a little bit harder and we put some additional nutrition on top of the 90 to give your brain what it needs. But increase the healthy fats. If you have a loved one who is going through a lot of challenges with brain health, you'd be surprised at how much you could see a difference just by increasing the number of healthy eggs, not overcooked with soft yolks. If they can take smoothies, for instance, drop a couple of eggs in a smoothie. All right? Doc Wallach often talks about if your brain is damaged, 6 to 12 eggs a day. He often talks about that. But increase the healthy fats in that person's diet. And you'd be amazed at with just that, how much of a difference it would make in their brain health. But definitely get them on the right nutritional program. For those of you who are new around here, if you'd like to learn more about how to get on the program to increase the healthy nutrition that the brain gets, we definitely can help you with that. Go to my official page on Facebook. You'll see pinned to the top of the page a link to a health evaluation that you can actually take so that we can determine what's going on in that person's body and get them on the right protocol of nutrition specifically for them to try to turn things around. And yes, that includes your brain health. I want to thank you so much for spending this 2 hours with me here on GPS. Hopefully you got something out of this. Like and share the show. Let everybody know, especially anybody you know who's going through a challenge with their brain. This is a show they need to see. Tomorrow we got another great show being planned for you, so make sure you tune in. Always something to think about and talk about thereafter. Until then, I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners